Well, Bill Cosby's defense team is declaring victory after a judge's decision to declare a mistrial in the comedian's sexual assault trial. After 52 hours of deliberation, jurors could not reach a verdict. Cosby is a free man for now. Prosecutors say they will retry the case. Caroline Polisi is a criminal defense attorney. She joins me now. I want to ask you, were you surprised that this was a mistrial?
I certainly wasn't surprised after Thursday morning, after the jury came back telling Judge O'Neill they were deadlocked. And Judge O'Neill, of course, administered the Allen charge, or sometimes referred to as the dynamite charge, meant to sort of ignite something in the jury deliberation room there.
What is that again? Remind us.
So it's a charge basically that says, I understand that you're deadlocked. However, it's your civic duty to come to a conclusion, in this case, really an acquittal or a vote of not guilty.
So it's the judge pushing the juror saying, I know it's tough, but you got to get to a decision.
It's pushing the jury to say, look, can you examine all of the evidence one more time? And this jury, by the way, taking its civic duty incredibly seriously, I commend them for this, an incredibly long amount of deliberations, more than, of course, the prosecution or the defense put on their case at all, really painstakingly going through every little bit of testimony. Of course, the question everybody wants to know now is what was going on in that deliberation room. Was it 11-1 for acquittal? Was it, 10-2? I think what's going to be key here, especially for the prosecution when they're thinking about retrying this case, to really get to talk to those jurors, if they can, to see how their case played to them.
And they'll have access to the jurors and able to speak to them?
They may or they may not. It's a question. It's different in every jurisdiction, and it depends on whether Judge O'Neill is protective of his jurors. Of course, they were sequestered throughout the duration of this trial because it is such a high-profile case. So they may not get to talk to the jurors.
So here's what I don't understand, Caroline. The evidence will largely remain the same in a retrial. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So how differently does the DA need to approach this case if they want a different verdict?
Well, I mean, they get to sort of Monday morning quarterback. Absolutely. They can go back over how the case played in the first instance and sort of tweak, the positioning of the evidence, perhaps the time period, what they put on different timing. But however, you make a good point. There's no new evidence in this case. In my opinion, Gloria Allred referenced sort of the blinding power of celebrity, intimating perhaps that played a role in this jury's deliberations. I would counter her with the fact that I think the prosecution really had a flimsy case here. So they're going to have to really re-examine what they've got.
And the prosecution says that they will retry the case. Let's take a listen to what the DA, Mike Steele, had to say shortly after the judge declared a mistrial.
She's entitled to a verdict in this case, and the citizens of Montgomery County, where this crime occurred, are entitled to a verdict in this case, and we will push forward to try to get that done and get justice done. Our job in this, and as prosecutors, we should take on the tough cases, and we do, and we do it because it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. Do you see this going to another mistrial potentially during a retrial?
Absolutely. Remember, Kevin Steele made a very controversial move in even bringing this case in the first instance. Remember, he got right under that 12-year statute of limitations. The initial district attorney, Bruce Castor, remember when this incident happened, declined to prosecute, which really got Bill Cosby into this whole mess in the first place. Of course, he submitted to that 2005-2006 deposition, never thinking in a million years that he would be prosecuted. He essentially waived his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination to do that. Now, all of a sudden, the new DA steps in, says, we're bringing this case. The defense fought tooth and nail to have the case dismissed in the first instance. But, now Kevin Steele's really doubling down. He has to, really, to sort of maintain his reputation. I think definitely we could see another mistrial, which is a huge waste of judicial resources, prosecutorial resources. A mistrial never is good for any part of the system.
So, Caroline, for Bill Cosby, was it a good day for Mr. Cosby today?
Absolutely. A mistrial is always a win for the defense.
Where do you think this leaves Bill Cosby now?
I mean, it doesn't leave him in a good position. I mean, non-legally speaking, of course, his career, his reputation has been completely demolished. He's been all but convicted in the court of public opinion, certainly. He has many civil cases looming over his head. Of course, Angela Grusa, who second-seated Brian McMonagle in this trial, is overseeing sort of the civil aspect of his case. But he now has this looming case ahead of him, of course, 120 days. But the emotional toll, physical toll, he's 79 years old, that this is going to take on Bill Cosby and his entire family really is huge.
Much more to follow on this case. It's not over. Caroline Polisi, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.